The Yizkor of Shemini Atzeret is a little strange. Not only is it an also ran following hot on the heels of Yom Kippur, but unlike the Yizkor services of Pesach and Shavuot, where they fall in the aftermath of the festivities, the Yizkor of Shemini Atzeret is eclipsed by anticipation of the normally raucous celebration of Simchat Torah ahead. Fittingly, in years such as this, where Sukkot straddles the week, we read the Book of Kohelet, or Ecclesiastes, on Shemini Atzeret. It is the book that gives us memorable reflections. There is a time to be born and a time to die, and all go to one place, all come from dust and all return to dust, and the dust will return to the earth as it was, and the spirit to God who gave it. All true. As well as these, the author King Solomon advises us that Tov Shem mishemen tov, v'yom hamavet miyom hivaldo. A good name is better than fragrant oil, and the day of death than the day of birth. Or, it's better to go to a house of mourning than to a house of feasting, for that is the end of every man, and a living one should take it to heart. Or, the heart of a wise man is in a house of mourning, whereas the heart of a fool is at the banquet. These are not self-evident ideas. Surely the day of our birth is one of hope and potential. Apparently, as he approached his death, the French philosopher Voltaire was asked by a priest to renounce Satan, and Voltaire responded, Now, my good man, this is no time for making enemies." Our commentaries on Kohelet, Ecclesiastes, see this concept in its most positive terms. With our passing, there are no more opportunities to do wrong. All the good we have done is banked and secure. A couple of weeks ago, I was surprised to see a graphic on the Google homepage indicating that it was 113 years since the birth of the German poet Mascha Kaléko. While the name will have meant nothing to most who clicked on it, my heart skipped a beat. Mascha was my grandmother's first cousin. My Oma's father Chaim and Masha's mother Rosa were brother and sister. Though Mascha made it to America and survived the war, her parents perished. Mascha, who was already established as a poetess, unusually for one of her background and generation, continued after the war to write poetry in German and is celebrated in Germany as a poetess of the German language. A poem of hers written in the early 60s is called Mein Epitaph, my epitaph. Mein Epitaph, vergebens, sie starb an dem Folgen des Lebens. My epitaph, in vain, she died as a result of life's pain. The grim thought suggests that our passing only augments the futility of our living. Jean-Paul Sartre made a similar point. He saw all death as removing all meaning for life. If we must die, he wrote, then life has no meaning, because its problems receive no solution, and because the very meaning of the problems remains undetermined. And this is where Kohelet and the commentators on Kohelet strike their point home. Rashi observes that when we say it's better to go to a house of mourning than one of feasting, it's because when we mourn and offer comfort, we also reflect on our own mortality, and this is humbling and should make us consider the enduring values for which we might be remembered. Even if there is a measure of self-interest, my bestowing kindness on the deceased increases my chances of someone bestowing kindness on me when my time comes. My lamentation, my escort, my burial, and my eulogies for another give hope that eventually there will be those to mourn and attend to me. I shall live my life. I shall live a better life accordingly. King Solomon teaches, and our sages elaborate, that in our remembering the passing of our loved ones, we give meaning to their lives. We give significance to their achievements and perpetuate the celebration of their deeds. If we were immortal, then there would always be the chance to upturn good or make good on bad. Consequences would be short-lived and less consequential. It is, ironically, the fact of death and the way we approach it as we face mortality through the prism of remembrance that we give life meaning. Fragrant oil drips downwards and becomes rancid over time. A good name elevates its soul heavenward and inspires enduring goodness in others. In 1956, Mascha Kaléko wrote her poem Memento. The fear of my own death is not that strong. It's just the deaths of those who I adore. How shall I live when they are here no more? Alone through fog I fumble death along, get pushed into the dark while I'm obeying. The leaving hurts, not half as much as staying. He knows it well who can identify, and those enduring it may please forgive. Just think, one's own death, one just has to die. But with the death of others, one must live. Bedenkt, den einigen Tod, den stirbt man nur. Doch mit dem Tod der anderen muss man leben. This evening on Zoom and on Shabbat in Shul, we shall stop to reflect and remember, to honour those whose journeys through life have provided us with landmarks and milestones, with signposts and direction, with teaching and deflection, with criticism and inspiration. Rightfully, we have gained from those who lived their lives to the full. Tragically, we've also often gained from those whose days were cut short, from those who we expected would outlive us. Sometimes when we anguish at a passing, and no words can make it better, the only comfort is that at least we are alive to remember that they had once lived. May the souls of our parents, spouses, siblings and children rest in peace, and may our service give due honour to their memories. Yizkor.